I actually think of myself as being somewhat self-aware. In in regards to that, it's like, wow, just keep making video after video after video. I am the star of my own show. But looking at this from the outside, I can see that there's a couple things at work here. It's like the struggles of a person who wants to escape from working for corporate America. Can he make it? You know, like a soap opera kind of thing. And so, yeah, I know, right? I've been wearing these things, and all they do is make a person feel good. They don't. I personally had never thought they did much of anything except give you some sort of self confidence, whatever. I need to find my actual respirator. It's in one of these boxes somewhere, or else I'll buy one, because if you're doing something for a long time, it's all a matter of inches. Eventually, it's going to catch up with you, and I do not want to fill my upper respiratory system with sanding dust. Not good for a person. I want to go walleye fishing. I don't want to ruin my health. But that said, felt bad. Kind of laughed at my sister a bit. She said that she needs to get a new car because the one that she has, and if you're watching this, Mary, I'm spreading your story throughout the universe here. Maybe it's being beamed into the space, you know, and the space people are watching this. I thought she had an older Cadillac. She's got a Firebird, and I laughed at her Firebird. And the reason I laughed at her was, picture a 16-year-old girl. It's a while ago, a couple of years. She comes home with this car she bought. This is definitely an eat your heart out story if you had this car now. A 69 Firebird Trans Am, and yes, a Trans Am is a Firebird. The, you know, a high lift cam, you know, probably a Holly 6-pack, you know, the whole 9 yards. My dad was like, I'm going to test drive this car, and taking off out of the driveway, burned out because this car was built to the gills. Turned around into a neighbor's driveway, came back and said, Mary, sell this car. And then she turned off. And now has a car, a Firebird, probably not a 69. Because if it was going to cost $4,000 to repair it, new exhaust and stuff, oh yeah, you would spend that money on a 69 Trans Am Firebird. In a heartbeat. And I thought it was kind of funny that, you know, we do things like that. I have old motorcycles and old bikes. We appreciate that stuff. But can you picture that 16-year-old girl buying a 69 Firebird Trans Am as not a rust bucket, because this was back, you know, closer to 69. Putting it in storage, taking care of it, you know, driving it once in a while to keep the seals good and stuff. Probably paid, I don't know, Mary, if you're watching this. What'd you pay for a 69 Trans Am? $500? They're worth a little bit more now, let's just say. But talking about bows, this weekend I have off. It's the Nautical Festival, and I thought they were going to pull the same thing again like 4th of July, where you don't get weekends off throughout the busy season. But I get the weekend off, so I can take a step back. Get a domain name. Get a website. And that's why it's John J. Riggs Archery and not John Riggs Archery. Is because there's another John Riggs Archery out there. I had to add the J. Price stuff out. Hold my schedule to the coals. But it is amazing. Let's comment on this. I might redo this so it's deeper in the recurve. It was just a form I put together, you know, and it's this bow, and I'm looking at it, and it's telling me what it wants. I need to, like, get the edges down here more. It's to an 8-inch radius or diameter, something like that, but get the edges down for looks. Now, it wasn't the heaviest bow in the woods, but, you know, every inch you take off the limbs. Look at that. Like Vanna White, raises the draw weight. Suppose you bought a bow blank from a nice fellow who has a sister that bought a 69 Trans Am, and it's like, I want to raise the weight a little bit. Knock off an inch. Now this is a 70-inch bow, and you'd think, I'm taking an inch off. It doesn't do much. I should take 2.5 inches off. But I'm telling you, don't knock that length down to 2.5 right away. Take an inch off. And it's amazing how just taking an inch off of each limb, it's one of those weird mathematical paradoxes that taking an inch off did a lot visually and raising the weight of the bow. From 70 to 68 doesn't seem that much, but let me tell you, this is an absolutely different bow now, going from 70 to 68. Be conservative when you knock it out. But yeah, I thought with the ginks and stuff that recurving it, I might have to go back and straighten it out. This one does go off a little bit, a big deal. You know, when I do my recurving, when I'm steaming or whatever, and like it, no, actually it's not twisted. Before I back it, I am going to string it and see, you know, if the recurves are straight. It's nothing but a thing, Jelly Bean, to just put it back in the form, put it over heat gun, whatever, clamp this down on something, twist it with a heat gun, to just straighten your recurves. But the smartest thing to do would be, you know, you recurve it, you're going to back it, just string it up and check to make sure that it's straight, because there's nothing worse than, I spent all this time recurving the bow, I backed it, and it's like, oh man, it goes off. And you have to be super, super careful, you know, putting a lot of heat on a bow if you backed it with hide glue or whatever. What I do, and it is possible, picture this. I'll take a piece of plywood or something, and I will trace the bow out on the plywood. 1/4 inch, not thick plywood, just kind of a heat shield. And then you cut it out, and you have like the slimmest of margins of edge protected by the plywood that you then like clamp down on here. Make sure it's so when you're hitting it with a heat gun, it's not getting the edges of the rawhide backing or the sinew. It is possible to heat, you know, correct twists in a backed bow if it's rawhide or sinew or whatever with a heat gun, you know, but the story is make sure that it's good before you rawhide or sinew back it. But yeah, I hardly ever count on, you know, if I'm recurving a bow to be like perfectly lined up the first time. It just, if it is, it's lucky. If not, it's routine. But yeah, cranking along, and it's easy to do. I want to start selling now. I want to start, you know, seeing my freedom develop. And I'm going to get all this stuff prepared, and it's going to take longer, and I'm going to be dreaming about it longer instead of just going at it. But, you know, I've got enough stock here, but I do need to get, for the website, finished examples of going from the horse bow to my D bow to my snake bow to my paddle bow. I don't have any finished paddle bows here. I sell all the ones I have. And, of course, the talisman. And this weekend I do want to, I'm a big one for saying I'm gonna, but I am working on this stuff. An elm talisman, or an elm home guard. I might even make a board bow home guard. I'm looking at my template right there. You know, add a 6th one to this thing. Sinew backing. I'm going to be pounding some sinew today. Estelle, you wanted a step-by-step thing for sinew? Well, I don't have the technology for stringing together segments into one video, but starting from the beginning, for my family of bow makers and wannabe bow makers, from start to finish, how I sinew back. And now it's going to be showing you that sinew backing is simple. Do not be afraid of it. You have a rock. I use a smooth rock. I never pound my sinew on concrete because it's not perfectly flat and I don't want to cut the fibers when I'm pounding it with my 3-pound sledge. So I use a very smooth rock. Showing you how to hit stuff with a hammer. You think that's complex? It's not. You just hit stuff with a hammer. And then you take the sheathing off, break the tendons into the 3 parts, take the short straight piece, put it away, save it. That's what you make sinew glue out of. You get the 2 Ys, the thin Y and the thick Y. Why? I don't know. And then to what degree do I process mine? I process mine less now using my wet method than I do if I'm going to dip it. I'm more precise, making them more uniform with the dipping method, but I'm a little rougher on this one, which means you're processing it less, which means you get less waste, and my wet method allows it to be floppy and looking like you just peeled it from the animal, because it soaks in that mixture for hours, days, and weeks, and I've got some that's been soaking for a month, you know. And it's just easier to use because there's no hard ends and it's more compliant. You just have to be more careful with sizing the bulb because you've got less glue on the sinew. So you have to make up for it by sizing, especially with red oak because it sucks up the glue. It makes a wonderful joint, but you have to size it more until you get that glistening, smooth surface on the back. Well, that is all. Have a great day. I think today's Saturday. Who knows? Every day is the same in Bowland.